Alright, and here's match 3 of our second Hearthstone for Noobs tourney. And this is going to be the Mighty Owl versus Little Alex. And Mighty Owl is obviously got his handlock hand loaded up and ready to go. And Alex is playing Rogue. I'm not sure if he's running the Tinkmeister's Oil. We know he runs 2 Sinister Strikes, and he likes to kind of just pour face pressure on quickly. The question is, will he be able to do it fast enough to kill the Warlock before he gets into sort of Jiraxis mode? And in a minute we should be able to see everybody's cards here. Why would you say that? You guys tired already? That's what happens when you play handlock all night. And what is this thing doing? It's just like giving me a good look at everything? Or is it every time he hovers over one? I don't think so. Maybe it's just catching you up. Okay, so it looks like spectator mode is bugging out a little bit again. And the first real move is the Mighty Owl throwing down an Ancient Watcher. Alex is going to go ahead and bypass that and go face. And looking at the cards in his hand, it's going to be interesting to see how he responds to some of the actual handlock plays here. Because this is one of those rogue hands that is literally rogue. It's got all sorts of different cards in it, and it really comes down to how well I think they end up playing together throughout the game. I think it's really a lot of different responses for a lot of different situations, and either he's going to run out of answers or he's going to use all of his good burst as answers instead of actually trying to find a way to win here. And we can see he's probably got a couple of creatures in this deck that will really help him push for a win. But right now he is pondering getting rid of this Mountain Giant, I think. So he facelesses the Emperor and manages to get a Sinister Strike in as well, and that's going to help him now with his mana curve. And some of those expensive cards are suddenly looking a lot more usable. Rogue still on full health as well. And this is pretty standard for handlock to watch the Warlock drop down here and there, but he's going to have to start fighting back at some point. Okay, so we see a really nice target there in the Emperor. And how's he thinking of playing this? Yep, he's going to shiv the Emperor. And that draws him into a card that gives him some more options. And that, my friends, is an Ogre Ninja. You certainly won't see those played a lot. And these guys are pretty funny because they have a 50% chance of attacking the wrong enemy. So even though there is a taunt up, which is basically, you know, right now that'll kill it, he might kind of sort of get lucky and go miss the 50-50 and end up hitting the face after eviscerating off that Defender of Argus. So now we see the Mighty Owl drawing into some pretty big cards. He looks like he's going to drop this here. Yep, there's a Mountain Giant. and the Twilight Drake. And I think he could have played both still if he played the Drake first, and then the Drake would have actually had 9 health. It's, somewhat academic at this point. But at the same time, that's one of the things you can consider when you're playing things like Handlock is the health of the Drakes, how cheap it is to use the Giants from time to time, and well, he does get the face hit from the Ogre, the Ninja Ogre. So now he actually is in some trouble here, down at 10 health. He's going to have to find a way to get rid of some of the damage that's sitting on the board and probably heal up as well. I don't know if we see a heal bot in his hand. There's a Drake. And yet that is a heal bot. So okay, back up to 18, and now he's got that, still got that Giant on the board. Even though it's low on health, if Alex doesn't find a cheap way to deal with it, he's going to have to trade his Assassin into it. Now that is an option. It's not a cheap option, but it's an option. Let's see if he decides to draw instead. And he's going with Onyxia. I think he feels he can't take enough damage on the next turn to die, so let's see how he decides to play this Assassin. And he does. He goes face, knowing that if there aren't any big answers right now from the Mighty Owl, that he's going to have a hard time staving off death. But there's a Shadow Flame, and that will clear the board. Is it time? What's he thinking about here? What's he want to play?
Well played.
Okay, so we're going to see a sap on that Sludge Belcher, and now the Sea Giant is out. There's a lot of Giants coming out in this game, and we do see the Warlock pretty low on health again. Now, Alex doesn't have a huge amount of answers in his hand right now, but he may have some options. We're going to see how this plays out. And we do see that that card is also still in the Mighty Owl's hand, and there he plays it. The big Game Hunter comes out and deals with that Giant pretty swiftly. Okay, so now Alex definitely needs healing more than anything. He's going to have to find a way to clear a board, and I don't think he's going to have enough mana to do that. But he does limit some of the damage here, getting rid of 7. So now he's down to seeing 7 damage, and perhaps he will draw into a little bit more help. That doesn't look like it's it. And I think that'll just about do it. Yeah, we see the Owl. I mean, he's got a ton of different ways to do it. And as I said in the last game, best way to do it, Jiraxis' Paws. So he plays Jiraxis and puts in the kill shot, and that'll be the first game in the bag for the Mighty Owl. Alright, so the Owl's bringing his mage back out, and I think Alex has decided he wants to try with the Druid instead of the Rogue here, knowing that the Druid probably has a few more options for really inflicting damage in general, getting minions onto the board, and sort of gives him a better way of actually trying to control the board. Especially here where he gets the wild growth out right away and starts to ramp up a little bit, which is going to be useful. I don't know if he was watching the match between me and the Owl, but obviously we know this is a mech mage, so he's going to want to be able to temper some of the action that's going to be coming at him. Turn 3, Grove Tender. Hope we don't get bugged on this again. No! Is this going to happen every time? I wonder if this is normal, if Blizzard knows about this, that Grove Tender like bugs out when you play it, or if it's just happening to us because we're unlucky. And I don't think we're going to have a freezing trap here, actually, to undo this Grove Tender this time. So this will be interesting, having to watch the game with that out the whole time. And it is slightly tilting having to look at that the whole time. But let's just see what happens while I work on some of the stuff in the chat room here for a second. Alright, sorry about that little pause in the spectating guys, or the commentating. And that is Druid of the Fang. And this is a card that when it came out was sort of scrutinized because it's kind of expensive if you don't have a beast out, and most Druid decks aren't beast centric, so it's going to be hard, except for getting out behind a Druid of the Claw. In most decks, they just don't run a lot of beasts in Druid decks. But if you do set up a Druid deck that runs beasts, and you know you're going to get out the snake more often than not, in fact, 90+% of the time, you're not just going to have to throw out the 4/4 body for 5 mana, then the snake can cause a lot of problems. Now, Big Game Hunter is obviously in the game a lot more now because of Dr. Boom, but if you're running multiple snakes or snakes and boom or anything like that, then it is really going to eat up a lot of damage. So, not a bad card really at the end of the day. It definitely works and constructed in its own ways. I think people are just used to playing more standardized decks and are afraid to kind of deviate from the norm. But that's kind of what this channel is about, is people that want to play things differently, that might be a little bit more limited to their options, and are showing you that, these cards do work and can swing a game in certain cases. Right here, I don't know quite how effective it's going to be, but at the same time, it is actually probably going to get some work done for Alex. And the Owl is going to play a Sludgy, and I think he's going to attack base here, now that it's safely behind the taunt. Yep. And now Alex has one of his own in an Ironbark Protector, and that was probably my favorite card when I first started playing the game. Just an 8/8 with taunt that's free, that comes with the game. Are you kidding? Like, is there anything better? And then that happens. It just gets polymorphed a lot. Or hexed. Either way, it's kind of sad. I think he's going to take this turn now to clear off the snake. I don't think it's worth going face. Then again, it's so low on health it probably doesn't matter, because he can just wipe it up softly. I mean, this snake's going to have to go through the little 1/2 taunt, so he'll be able to ping it off after that. Unless, of course, Alex finds a way to just push straight through. Now he's got a couple different options and a couple of answers here. And he's given me a couple of ideas. I'm wondering if you taunt up, yeah, you get like your Druid of the Claw out, and then possibly play your Healing Touch on the snake. But it looks like he's going to go for Mark of Nature on the snake, just to get it taunted as well. I would have probably gone Healing Touch and hoped that I just wasn't going to die soon. But that's a real big gamble. Here he's going to go ahead and heal up to 20 health again, which gets him pretty much nice and healthy. And reasonable board presence now, although he didn't put the mark on the snake. He put it on the Druid of the Claw. So I think hoping that the owl doesn't have another polymorph in hand, kind of like calling his bluff there, like, okay, well, you got one big thing to get through. How are you going to do it? And the owl is pondering his answer right here. I don't think he really has a lot of options. He could possibly draw, but it messes up the ability to use that card, and at this point it might really be the best way just to limit what's going on the board. Depends on how much control he really feels he has of the situation based on the cards in his hand. And there it is, there's a Flame Strike, so that leaves the Druid of Claw on 6 health, and he can kind of just push through that now with well, I guess he's going to have to use a Spider Tank and the Snow Chugger and a Ping if he wants to keep the Ooze alive. That's the only creature he can really keep living. And that's the turn he takes. And now the Ooze is going to, be there to do a tiny bit of damage, but at the same time, he just keeps a taunt on the board, and Alex is going to have to find a way through that before he can do any damage to the mage. God, I wish the spectator mode wouldn't bug with these cards. It's kind of annoying being flanked by the Grove Tenders the entire time. I was so lucky in the last game when we had the Hunter play the Freeze Trap. They sent it back, and it actually worked after that. When he played it again, the cards didn't stay up. So I was maybe hopeful that wouldn't just keep happening. But now the Druid gets a Piloted Shredder on the board, and that's a great card. It's hard to kill. It's not super hard to kill the Shredder itself, but leaving another minion behind, and I really feel like lately, more often than not, is leaving better minions. You know how often I see Millhouse Mana Storm is the best you can ask for, is a 4/4/2 drop, and then sometimes you get the Succubus, which is a 4/3/2 drop, and sometimes when you really, really need it, you actually get a Doomsayer, which can be kind of funny, and sometimes when you really don't need it, you get a Doomsayer, and that's even funnier. And we see a card now in little Alex's hand that you will almost never see in this game, and it is fantastic. I can't wait for him to drop this card, and he's going to play Bite, Armor Up, and basically now has swung the game back around to where he's actually got more health than the mage, and he's got a minion on board. So even though he's running out of cards in his hand, he may actually start being able to take a little bit of initiative. Okay, so he's going to go ahead and clear off the Tinkertown Technician. That's an interesting card, and is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? I would do it. I would do it, and I would play that lovely, yep, and he's going to tell me he played it on the Nosdormu. No! Oh, Alex, you should have played it on Nosdormu, just in case he has something that can kill it. But this is great, the Nosdormu effect, where you actually have 15 seconds to do your whole turn, and that's it. This mage turn is over. But he did pretty much get everything out that he... Oh, wow, he got everything out. We didn't even see him clicking away that fast. But looks like he got it to work. So now with the one card in his hand, I think he's going to definitely have to play that. And it's the only card that he's probably going to have to play. What happened there? Well, how did he only get like 3 seconds? And the Mighty Owl got the full 15 seconds. See? Look what happened here. That's kind of crazy. I feel like he got a bit screwed over on that spot. And that's it. Even through the haze of Nosdormu, the Mighty Owl manages to take this one down.